We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports? We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Huge show in store for you tonight. A very hot topic going around. Zachy, a lot of people are asking the question, well, at least it's going around the topic of should Dale Brown Court be renamed? Now, we put a poll inside of inside of YouTube, and I'm going to let you decide. I'll give you my thoughts on it. I don't really have a lot of thoughts as at the current moment. I mean, I can honestly care less, quite honestly, a little bit. I think there are a lot of people deserving. I think Shaquille's deserving. I think if Kim Mulkey wins a couple of national titles, she's deserving. I just don't know how I feel about everybody reacting to the Dale Brown Court situation. We'll talk about it here tonight. And I will openly give you your opinion. Yes or no? What do you believe? I think it's of my personal opinion that if it's this controversial, why don't you let the fans decide? Like, why do you have to let everybody else decide, well, this person's influential, this person this person that? I don't really understand that part at all. If it's such a hot button topic, why don't you let the general public and LSU fans vote on it? But since everybody wants to get up in a tizzy and everybody wants to overreact about something, we'll see. We'll see. It's the Lady Tigers. Zach, when's that tip off? It's right now, or 7. I think it's at 7. So we'll, after the game tonight, or after the show tonight, we'll go and watch the Lady Tigers on the court as well. LSU basketball still winless in 2023 as they fall to Missouri last night. What do you really want to talk about with that? I mean, I don't really know what to say, honestly. I really don't know what to say. I mean, they're just not a good team right now. And with all the bells and whistles and everything going on around LSU, you got some good players. You just can't execute. So with that being said, I don't even know where to start with LSU men's basketball, but we will talk about it. The big news today is, Zach, I don't know if you heard this. Nick Saban wears Brian Kelly pajamas. Did you hear about that? Nick Saban goes to sleep wearing his hero's pajamas, and that being Brian Kelly. Just joking. The toothless Bama fans are going to come after me. But if you missed it, former Notre Dame quarterback and offensive coordinator Tommy Rees is currently in Tuscaloosa. Possibly could be their next OC. We'll talk about that here tonight as well, my thoughts on that. And what does it say about Brian Kelly? What does it say about Nick Saban going after one of his former OCs? I'll tell you my thoughts. I might even talk about that earlier in the show as well. Also, LSU launched their new collective, and we still have people like out there talking negatively, like LSU can't recruit. I don't necessarily understand that when LSU is now currently 4th in the country in recruiting per 247. So we'll talk about that here tonight as well. And as we do every Tuesday and Thursday, hashtag Ask Blake. Thoughts, questions, concerns, hit us inside the chat. We'll get to as many of them as we can as the show goes on. So everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to all of those social media groups. Share to all of those social media pages. We greatly appreciate you doing that. Let's get to a couple comments, though. Bill on YouTube says, let's go. There's a big game tonight. There is a very big game tonight. Very, very, very big game tonight as the LSU Lady Tigers can go and remain undefeated. So we do have that poll inside of YouTube. As of right now, 52% people say yes, they believe Dale Brown Court should be renamed and Sue Gunter's name should be entered in. Alongside it, 48% says no. Rob Boudreaux says, call it Shaq's house. Yeah. Call it Shaquille O'Neal Court if you want to. Jason Brumfield said, should have named it after Shaq. Yeah. Sherry Berry says, let's go AYS. What's going on, Sherry Berry? Tyler Townsend says, let's go. What's up, Tyler? Tyler was active inside of the chat last night. Me and Pooh Bear went on with Carter Bryant, giving him marriage advice. Pooh Bear and me got in a very heated debate. He called me very vulgar names. He was very mean and rude. He called me, he called me a lot of bad things. So he was really mean. Let's see. He's about to come up with something funny. I knew this was coming. He said, I called you a married man and you got mad. No. You went all full Kevin Hart and said I had long, oh, we ain't got no nipples or something like that. Penn Jones says, stop being woke, Blake. Zach, have I said anything politically woke? Okay. I asked a question if you motherfuckers believed if the court should be named after it's literally all anybody's talking about. Like you guys get aggravated for me for saying you should be the ones to go out there and vote on it. Jesus Christ. You know what? I wasn't going to talk on it, but here you go. Who cares? Dale Brown left you in sanctions at LSU. Sue Gunter also did a lot of big things at LSU. I don't give two shits what you name the court. Could care less. But if you're going to come in the show and say that I'm acting woke when I'm asking you to vote for it, how dare you? How dare you? I keep politics out of this show for a lot of reasons. So many people come on these platforms and say, don't put politics in sports. Name a time that I've gone political. And I ask a question that everybody's talking about. It's not my responsibility if you don't know that's what everybody's talking about. You got multiple people out there right now pushing agendas, calling the governor names, calling Dale Brown names, whatever side that you're on. But me asking you to go out there and giving you the opportunity as an LSU fan, maybe you should vote for it. But I'm the woke. I'm woke. Yeah, you know what? I am woke. Look at me. My eyes are wide open and I'm speaking. I am awoke. Do not come on this show. I don't care who you are. And say, Blake's acting conservative. Blake's acting liberal. Blake's acting woke. It's not my responsibility that if things are getting reported, that you should be the ones that if you don't see it, it's my fault. If you come in the show late, maybe listen for a minute, see what everything's going on, and figure it out. Adam Miller says, who are you going to smoke, y'all? We're going to smoke y'all in women's basketball. Good for you. Dawn Staley's shoe game stinks. Crying Belly says, stop talking about Louisiana politics. Crying, you literally got banned for using racial slurs on Twitter. We're going to call everybody out. Kat Clark says, love y'all talking about women's basketball lately. Thanks, Kat. Jerry Zimmerman says, woke. Dude, I'm telling you. I'm about to end this show, bro. No, I'm not. Gregory Ford says, come on, man. Coon ass Kern Dog says, dang, just turned into who pissed you off. Crossroads says, y'all cool out. Rob Boudreaux says Blake never talks politics unless he says he's not going political. That's actually true. That's actually true. Nevertheless, if you don't know, there's a big conundrum about renaming Dale Brown Court and putting Sue Gunter's name there. I was going to give you my opinion, and I am going to give you my opinion. All right. See you, bud. Banning. American Patriot says it's Pooh Bear's fault. Is it your fault, Pooh? Is it your fault? What did you do? Sean, go ahead.
There will be no blaming of the Pooh Bear during Black History Month. Y'all have a good one.
It's so funny because I just spent the last 15 minutes and then Pooh comes in here and says, you ain't gonna diss me during Black History Month. Oh God. What a day. What a day. Sean Barthelot says it's nothing to do with Dale Brown or Sue Gunter. It's normal Louisiana shady backdoor politics. I really don't know. So let's do this. I will tell you what no, I'm not even going to go there. You're going to make your opinion. What I would ever say would never matter. It would never matter because your opinion's already going to be made up. So there are influential people that want both of it to be named. Some of them, listen to what I'm going to tell you. Some of them are retired LSU head coaches, multiples of them, and multiple mega boosters that have brought this to an attention of people that it need to be concerned to. So anyway, all right. Let's get this thing rolling. Everybody do us a favor by hitting like and share. So many of you listening to us live right now on Facebook. Do us a favor by hitting like and share. So many of you have been listening to us live on Facebook. Thank you so much for doing so. Stop, collaborate, and listen. Hit the like and share. Share those social media groups. Share to your own social media pages. If you're listening to us on YouTube, like, subscribe, notification bell. Thank you so much for doing so. We'll be continuing. Joe's been out of town, so we'll continue to get that content back out to you next week. Everybody listening to us on the podcast, let me take this time right quick to just thank everybody who's been listening to us on the audio podcast. If you listened to our show last night, we went over the total 1 million downloads since we launched. It's a big deal. It's a really big deal for me. I appreciate all of you and all your support, listening to the show and listening to what we are doing and building here at AYS. All right. So, but there as well, rate, review, and subscribe, all that good stuff. Zach, take us to a break. We'll be back in a minute. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events, with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Vardo & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Varno and Sons. Go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992. 225-664-9992. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by. Bill asked, Blake, do you ever go to LSU games? Yes, actually, I think. So let me just be candid because I get this question a lot, and I answer it a lot, so just let me go with it. All the LSU practices that we're allowed to go to, I'm at. Like literally at. I think me and a couple of people are going to the LSU baseball scrimmages this weekend. So if you're there, you see us, come say hello, love to talk to you and all that kind of stuff. Bill, in reference to football, not a lot anymore, mainly due to we do the post game for Believe and XM Radio for LSU and stuff like that. I did, however, talk about the last real game that I went to, just like not credentialed media, like just a game that I went to as a fan, and it was the LSU baseball game against Southern Miss, and things turned really interesting really quickly. Really, really quickly. So yes. Crossroads says, damn, Crying Belly got 6 followers on Twitter. Why y'all worried about him? I'm not. I mean, really, Crossroads, we talk to everybody. He also says Shaq donated millions of dollars to LSU, and he's the all-time LSU basketball legend. I do agree with that. American Patriot says he's just still mad. I guess I'm still mad because Pooh called me a married man. I'm not mad about that at all. I don't know where that comes from. All right, so I did put inside of the YouTube channel. I will continue to let you vote on this, but we do have some votes coming in, and it's a 51% consensus of. So basically, let me just read you the question. Let's get this thing started. Today, there's been a pretty big conundrum about this Dale Brown court thing. I get it. I don't really have a formal opinion either which way on either of them. But the question I pose is, do you think that Dale Brown court should also have Sue Gunter's name alongside it? 51% have said yes. 49% have said no. Now, let me just candidly open and say the political stuff or anything political that's going on, if there is or isn't going on, we're not going to talk about it. Go somewhere else to listen to it. But what I will tell you is this. There are a lot of influential people that are involved in this, not just political people. Like I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of former ex-head LSU coaches that are trying to get Sue Gunter's name on the court. When things did not go their way, they took measures and other means to get it done. Now, I will openly and admittedly say it does not necessarily matter to me what you name the court after or who you name the court after. What I do, the only issue that I do have is you already named the court after Dale Brown, and now you're going to have to go back and name it after somebody else. I think that seems a little bit an issue, like if, it just seems like an issue that should have been resolved well before now. Now, does Sue Gunter deserve for her name, regardless of what it is or what it isn't, should her name be in the rafter? Should her name be, should she have her name on a practice court? Should she have her name wherever? I think she should have whatever it is that people want her to have. Sue Gunter literally went 442 and 221 at LSU. She won 752 games. She won 70% of her basketball games. She's been to multiple Final Fours. She's been to Elite Eights. She's been to the second round. She's been to Sweet 16s. She's going to NIT. She's literally done it all. She was the face of a lot of things LSU related. A lot of things. She passed away too soon, and that is a travesty. The last year that she coached was in 2004. They got to a Final Four. They were 27-8, 10-4 in the league. Here's my opinion on this, okay? Here's just my outright opinion. If boosters and board members and political people and Dale Brown and College Temple and whoever's involved in this, If they can't come to a conclusion on what the court should be named, I have a solution, whether you like it or not. My solution is, why wouldn't you let the fans decide? Because ultimately, when you play, you're playing for not only your state, your school, your fans are the ones that get you there. The fans donating money, the fans paying season tickets, the fans going to all and supporting in all of your games, the fans now donating, which we'll talk about in a minute, to the new NIL collective. The reason you're able to profit $200 million in a fiscal year, yes, is it a lot of donor-driven stuff? Absolutely. But I promise you, there's not a donor on planet Earth that's giving hundreds of millions of dollars like the fans are to support every single thing LSU related. Fans are the ones that legitimately make idols into icons into Hall of Famers into the greatest of all time. The persona of what a man or woman does at LSU is the reason why their names are etched in stone. Joe Burrow's legacy, Shaquille O'Neal's legacy, at the time when he was at LSU, Chris Jackson's legacy, Pete Maravich's legacy, Todd Walker's legacy, Ben McDonald's legacy, Skip Bertman's legacy live on, because not only do they have statues and the great accomplishments that they achieved on a court, on a field, wherever it may have been, on the diamond, it has a lot to do with the fans always remembering and pushing out and remembering the times that those players and coaches achieved in those specific fields of concentration. I'm up to the idea, why don't you let the fans decide if it's that controversial? That's my opinion. I don't necessarily care what it's called. Did Dale Brown do a lot of good things? Yes. I still don't know if Dale Brown's name should be on the court personally, as an opinion, right? Like, I think that Shaquille O'Neal is the best basketball player and ambassador for LSU basketball ever. You know, when LSU needed something for basketball, they called Shaq to donate money, and Kim Mulkey came aboard. That, if you want to know how the sausage was made, when you didn't have the funds to go and get Kim Mulkey, Big Diesel, Big Daddy Shaq went out there and stroked that check and said, go get her. And now what's happening? You're 21-0. You're going to be 22-0, hopefully tonight. That is what happens when you have more influential people like Shaq. Now, you could say, well, Dale Brown brought Shaq. And that is 1,000% true. But as I sit here right now and I look at the poll and I see that people are voting and it's 58% yes to 42% no, I do think that there's a lot of people that agree with that sentiment. 58% of people think that it should be changed. There's another conundrum. What if Kim Mulkey wins a natty? And it's the only national championship that LSU basketball, men's or women's, has ever won. I will tell you something. Probably should name it after her. Daniel Williams says, wait until Kim is done, then her name might have to go on there. He's right with his bucket hat that he's wearing in his profile picture. But he's right. That might be the biggest bucket hat I've ever seen, by the way, but never the I'm sorry, Daniel. I hadn't seen you in 3 weeks. I hadn't talked to Daniel in 3 weeks. I had to get the joke out there. You can have your opinion, okay? What your opinion is your opinion. But honestly, I don't think that it is diminishing anything that Dale Brown did to put Sue Gunter's name on the court alongside him. It's just my opinion. Just my opinion. Sherry Berry says, what if Kim wins several national championships? Then what? And I think that Let me just tell you this. If Kim Mulkey wins multiple national championships at LSU and they name a practice facility after her or just give her a statue, I don't think that that's enough. I really don't. Guys, let me tell y'all something about Kim Mulkey. Let me tell you something about Kim Mulkey that I don't know if a lot of people understand or realize or know. Not only did LSU women's basketball generate $800,000 in ticket sales last year, guys, she is raising so much money for LSU right now. It's ridiculous. Let me tell you, I know this for a fact because I had a booster call me and tell me about it about 7 or 8 weeks ago. Guys, when was Thanksgiving? Is that about 2 months ago, right? I'm assuming, give or take, about 2 months ago. Kim legitimately got in this dude's face and it's like, oh, you're going to donate. Oh, you're going to donate. Guy was so worried, he donated. But I'm sorry, but I think it's Mr. Thomas. But Mr. Thomas, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your first name. But Mr. Thomas says, what about a new arena? The way that you get a new arena is you got to have the funds to do so. That's what Kim's doing. Kim's legacy is going to be stamped on LSU basketball, men's and women's, from now, because she's going to continue to win for a very long time. We'll see. Tony says, wait until Matt McMahon's done. He'll make sure that his name's nowhere near it. It's funny. It's funny. Holden Lee says, Mulkey's career record at LSU is already amazing. She's going to want her name up there. Best believe it. I agree with that. Bill says, will you do some Saints talk? Yeah, we'll do it later. That's my opinions on this Dale Brown court thing, man. Dustin Michelle says, you forgetting all about Ben Simmons. It's true. That's true. Roderick Dugas says, you're right, Blake. When I was a kid, I remember when LSU won a championship in baseball, and I got some gear. Us fans live and breathe LSU. That's so true. Crossroads says, what did Dale Brown do to deserve a court named after him besides paying off Lester Earl? Well, you guys can go read the sanctions. It was more than just that, right? Like, it was more like, I think that there was a situation where, and look, I would have to go back and really look at what Dale Brown got popped for and the sanctions LSU was under and all that kind of stuff. But it was more than just paying Lester Earl like $5,000. Like, I think it was much more than that. But, you know, it is what it is. And Dale Brown, look, Dale Brown to his credit, has been, I don't want to call him an ambassador, but Dale Brown has done some good things for LSU. And I think that he should be rewarded for that. But in reference to this whole court name thing, like it's getting to a point where I think it's a little out of control. You know, what's funny to me is that they're just like, I know for a fact that there's an ex-head LSU coach, a head coach, that's actively out here trying, like literally calling everybody that she can, or he can, to get this changed. And it's not Kim Mulkey, but to get Sue Gunter's name on that court. And I say this with all due respect, nobody's mentioning her about her being an ambassador for getting Sue Gunter's name on that court, which, again, like I've mentioned, I don't really care. It's cool either way with me. All right. A couple more, then we're going to get into the real show. I don't know if this isn't the real show. I have no idea. Graham Kelly says it's tough to make that decision on naming a court after Kim. Would she deserve it after winning a natty? 100%. But she's became a legend and won 3 at Baylor. But see, here's the thing: Baylor was refused to name the court after her. Like, go ask who brought Graham. I forget I think it's Sick'em 365. I think it's the guys over at the website Sick'em 365. Kim asked for her name to be on the court, and they damn near denied her of that right. Goes to tell you how things could go sideways in a really quick instance. A really quick instance. All right, let's get rolling, guys. I don't know if you saw this today, but Pooh, I told Zach this. Did y'all know that Nick Saban wears Brian Kelly pajamas to go to sleep because he's a superhero? Did y'all know that? Nick Saban wears Brian Kelly pajamas. If you missed it, former Notre Dame quarterback and offensive coordinator Tommy Rees is currently in Tuscaloosa interviewing for the next offensive coordinator job behind Bill O'Brien. I think it's a little comical, to say the least. The reason I think it's a little bit comical that Tommy Rees is currently in Tuscaloosa interviewing for this job is simply just due to the nature of how well he knows Brian Kelly. He's played under Brian Kelly. He's coached under Brian Kelly. LSU in overtime, we were all remember it. LSU kind of with a little bit of a troll job today, showing the overtime win over Alabama in the greatest moments of last season. And LSU, obviously, we remember, beat Alabama 32-31. I will tell you, a lot of people will say this, and it's remotely very true. Nick Saban, for his credit, has hired very, very good coordinators. Lane Kiffin, Steve Sarkisian, Kirby Smart. I even think Jeremy Pruitt was a damn good DC. Pete Golding never had a defense outside of the top 20 ever in his career at Alabama. Loxley, hell, Brian Daboll brought the Giants back to the playoffs in year one in New York. Nick has done a really, really good job at hiring coordinators and position coaches. I don't think that you can take that away from him. My opinion, though, is that even Bill O'Brien, I will give credit to. My opinion on this is that Tommy Rees would be, I don't want to say the worst, but I think he could be one of the worst coordinator hires that Saban on paper has ever made. Now, will Tommy Rees's offenses be better going to Alabama and the weapons that Alabama will be able to give to him? Yes. However, did you know from the 2021 season to the 2022 season, Tommy Rees's offense and his play calling literally got double worse than when Brian Kelly left, than when Tommy Rees completely took over the offense? What do I mean by that? In 2021, Notre Dame was 7th in the country in scoring. They were literally 20th across the board in almost every single offensive metric in 2021. They went 11-1 that season under Brian Kelly before Marcus Freeman took over. My point is when Brian Kelly left Notre Dame, that offense literally got worse, where they were in the 60s. Tommy Rees's offense this past season was 60th. Now, what would that translate into the SEC this year if that exact offense, which it wouldn't, Tommy Rees would have a much better offense just merely due to the weapons at Alabama. But think about this for just a quick minute. Here are the teams that had better offenses than Notre Dame and Tommy Rees a season ago. You ready? Alabama, LSU, Tennessee, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and wait for it, guess who? Florida. 7 teams in the SEC had better total offenses than Notre Dame did. I think it's a little bit of a stretch. The question that I'm ultimately asking myself is this: is if Tommy Rees does ultimately go to Tuscaloosa, is it the most head-scratching coordinator job that Nick Saban has made in his tenure at Alabama? I think it is. What I also find funny from a Tommy Rees perspective is that he openly on Colin Cowherd's show, The Herd, said that he was not ready for the bigger spotlight that LSU provides more than Notre Dame. He actively said that on a show, but yet is going to go to Tuscaloosa, potentially going to go to Tuscaloosa, and is Nick Saban's number one choice at OC. I think Nick Saban has eaten too many cream pies. I think the cream filling is getting to Nick Saban. Guys, I'm sorry. That is not a good hire. I honestly think it's a little bit of a downgrade from Bill O'Brien to Tommy Rees. Now, I will also admit, I had heard that there are going to be other offensive coordinators, potentially, if Tommy Rees doesn't take the job. There are younger offensive coordinators that Saban has at least spoke with in reference to targeting them for their services. I'm not going to mention those names yet, but I think Dorothy, with her red heels, out there in not Arkansas, just drop the R, there would be some interesting scuttlebutt if Tommy Rees did not take the job and who they would want to hire next. Are there legitimate people in the coaching world thinking Saban might be done? It's a head scratcher. Here's the thing that how it affects LSU, though, in my personal opinion. There is nobody on planet Earth, from a coaching perspective, nobody on planet Earth that knows Tommy Rees better than Brian Kelly. Nobody. It also is of my opinion that if you're like literally, it's Brian Kelly's playbook. Literally, Brian Kelly's playbook is Tommy Rees. Tommy Rees is taking everything Brian Kelly taught him and potentially going to Tuscaloosa with it. I think it's Saban saying some things. I think he indirectly knows that Brian Kelly's building a dynasty. It's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. The team that he has to fear the most, in my opinion, is not only Georgia. I'm not going to say Saban fears LSU on the same level that he does Georgia, but Saban knows that Brian Kelly is building a monster at LSU. Of all the offensive coordinators in the country, and all of them that are better than Tommy Rees, why would you target him if Brian Kelly's not in the back of your mind? Another question I have is, does Nick Saban pick up the phone, or did Nick Saban pick up the phone and ask Brian Kelly about Tommy Rees? I don't know. But I do think that there's a lot of things that go on in the coaching world that we're not privileged to, that it just doesn't make a lot of sense for Tommy Rees to go there and not follow Brian Kelly. And I think Brian Kelly would have the upper hand on Tommy Rees. Okay. Yeah, Zach, you could, I'm reading our personal chat. You don't have to put that in there. They can go and read that because it doesn't really affect us. I want to know why Crying Belly got suspended for 5 minutes, though. Nielsen Fields says Saban is hiring Rees from inside information because he's scared of BK and LSU. I know that people are going to say that there's no way and all that kind of stuff. There's definitely ties to that. Crossroads. First off, Crossroads, if you're the one on the left, I want that hat. He says Tommy Rees is 30. He can recruit. He'll be fine. Buddy, I don't care if he can recruit at all. If they can't, like, Crossroads, think about this. So many Alabama fans thought that Bill O'Brien was the problem, even though they were scoring 41.5 points per game offensively. They're going to let Bill O'Brien walk for Tommy Rees? Y'all can hate Bill O'Brien all the live long day, but you're going after Brian Kelly's former coordinator. You're going after his former quarterback. Why? Tommy Rees has done absolutely nothing special to garner going to Alabama. It would have made more sense for him to come to LSU and follow Brian Kelly, because Brian Kelly has literally been his head coach for God knows how long. But you cannot tell me, you cannot convince me that there's not a Brian Kelly tie into this, that Saban doesn't look at Tommy Rees and say, hey, Brian Kelly did some really good things offensively. You know what Brian Kelly does a lot that Saban wants to steal? Y'all ready for it? They run the football. I know this for an outright fact. Have heard coaches. I talked to an offense. Let me be careful. I'll say this. I think Pooh Bear knows this. I talked to another school's position coach last week, and he told me that everybody that they've talked to at Alabama says Saban is screaming at them to get back to fundamentals and running the football. Who taught Tommy Rees better than Brian Kelly? Because all LSU did, think about the records that LSU broke this year. LSU had more rushing touchdowns this year with all of their backs and Jane Daniels than they've done in their history of LSU football. And think of the great backs that you've had. You literally had a season where Darius Geis and Leonard Fournette were in the backfield. You've had Kevin Falk in your backfield. You've had Spencer Ware and Jeremy Hill and Alfred Blue and Terrence McGee. The list just is a laundry list of dudes. And this team is the one that broke that record. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Daniel Williams says it's a head scratcher. I agree with that. Crossroads says, yeah, that's me on the left. That's Eddie Kennison on the right. How about that? Speaking of a great LSU Tiger. Crossroads, DM me on the, if you have Twitter, DM me. I want to know where that, where you got that hat from. Travis Dyson says Bill O'Brien's better than Rees. I agree with that. Guys, Alabama was scoring 41.5 points per game. Do you understand, like, the upper hand that LSU would have with Tommy Rees going to Alabama is astronomical? Because let me tell you what it would be like. I have an old head coaching headset in here. I don't know where it is, but I'm going to find it. I promise you that gives Matt House a massive advantage. Some people would say it will give Alabama also an advantage because of Tommy Rees and knowing Brian Kelly. That has some merit and weight to it too. But Brian Kelly knows Tommy Rees better than Tommy Rees knows Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly's been around the block a little bit longer. He's got more notches in his belt. This, I am telling you, is this massive advantage. And it tells me that there's some struggles and maybe a power struggle a little bit at Alabama. And it also makes me really start thinking as I put out my top 10 of 2023, the way too early top 10 of 2023, I think LSU, you got to really start thinking about and saying to yourself, they might go out there and win the West again. I'm just telling you, if LSU wins the West in back-to-back seasons, we should throw a parade. I'm serious, man. I don't think people would understand the magnitude of how the guard would be changing if LSU won the West in back-to-back seasons. Zach, clip that right now. Put that and get that ready for your 2023 hype video. I'll say it again. If LSU wins the West again, if they go out there and they win the West again, The changing of the guard in the SEC is not only going through Athens, it's going through Baton Rouge. LSU would be running this division. Who's going to beat them? You confident? Well, let me not say that. You can't have the slip-ups to Tennessee. You can't have the slip-ups to A&M. You got to go out there week 1 in Orlando, EAUX, and you got to take care of business. You beat Florida State, you can write your ticket to a playoff in that first weekend in November when you go to Tuscaloosa. Travis Dyson says this is a worse decision than the 2-point conversion against us. Maybe so. Zach, don't write it down in here because this episode's not going to be aired anymore. I'll probably delete this episode. Put it in your notes. Let's see. Doug Nose says this is like someone stealing John Chavis or Jimbo trying to go after Aranda. Y'all are too young to remember the Dave Aranda AYS story. One day when the statute of limitations are over, I will we'll pull that tweet back up and I'll tell you the story of how we broke the news on Dave Aranda. Graham Kelly says, above all else, this shows how much Saban respects Brian Kelly as a coach. Guys, Graham hits the nail on the head here. That is 1,000% fact. If there's nothing else to be said, I don't think Brian Kelly's ever going to – I don't personally believe that Brian Kelly's ever going to hit a podium. And when he's asked a question about Tommy Rees, if he goes to Alabama, I really don't believe Brian Kelly's going to ever admit that Nick Saban called him. I would bet all the money in my checking and savings account that Nick Saban and Brian Kelly had a conversation on Tommy Rees. I can't be convinced otherwise. I cannot be convinced otherwise. Nick Saban does not let it be leaked and reported on that Tommy Rees is the number one guy he's going after if the conversation did not happen with Brian Kelly. Good luck. We're going to come to Tuscaloosa and kick your ass. Hold that tiger. Tony says, yeah, we got to keep the quote-unquote the woke episode. Yeah, I hate when people call me something like that because everybody comes in here and wants to make something political. Like, can we go somewhere without talking about politics? Let me tell you 3 things I don't give a Rudy Poo about. I don't give a shit about your politics. I don't give a shit about your dog taking a dump for the first time. And I sure as shit don't want you coming on this show talking politics. You complain and bitch and moan all the live long day that ESPN's going to left. Clay Travis is going to right. And everybody makes their opinions and everybody gets in a tizzy about it and makes a complaint. But then you come to a show that doesn't talk about politics and your vaginas start to hurt. You want the truth? Here's the truth. You want the John Nicholas truth? That's the truth. I get just as upset when people call me or anybody, Zach or Pooh, anything like that. Like I just don't get it. I don't understand it. It's like I'm going to tell something to the older generation really quick, and I don't want you to get upset. My parents' generation always blames their children's generation for the way that the world is going. Oh, they're too left. They're causing, they're doing riots. They're doing this. They're doing that. There's 3 things. Number 1, you're the one that raised us. Number 2, you're the ones that are pushing it in here and going on Facebook and talking about it. And number 3, drop the politics on a sports show. Makes no sense to me whatsoever. I just don't get that part. Graham Kelly says the success that BK had with Daniels and our running backs, I can kind of see how Saban wants the same formula with his QB. Now, that's something interesting. Just Jalen Milroe take over. Coming back as a better running than passer, still good. It would still be a good hire, though. You know what's interesting is if you've noticed, listen, Georgia threw the ball a lot with Stetson Bennett, but their bread and butter, look, go watch any Georgia game. Go put on the film. I promise you this is what they will do. They will come out and start throwing the ball a little bit, get Stetson in a rhythm. Then they will pound you in the running game, and then they start going play action. So there's this interesting stat. Did y'all know that Stetson Bennett was a 75% completion percentage guy on play action passes? Not only was it number one in the SEC this year, the only other person that it comes to remotely over the last 10 seasons on a quarterback being that accurate in the pocket on play action was a guy that wore number 9 in Baton Rouge. Football is cyclical. If you can run the football, you can win any game whatsoever. Run the ball, man. Run the ball. Crossroads says got the hat at Barnes and Noble's on LSU's campus. How about that? Barnes and Noble. Pooh Bear says, I thought you were about to say, did y'all know that Stetson was 75 years old? He acts like it. But how crazy is that stat? The only person that he's remotely close to is Burrow. It's an interesting stat. Chance Babin says on the flip side, it's a hell of an offer on Tommy Boy. Oh, if you're talking about Tommy Rees, look, that is a hell of an offer. Oh, I knew what I was going to say before we got interrupted on the people calling us political. You know what's interesting about that? About Tommy Rees? Does Saban, let me pose this question. Does Saban feel like he is losing so much control around him that he feels like he's got to control his offense just as much as his defense? I think Saban might, look, everybody in their right mind is going to call me batshit crazy. I'm telling you, the actions make sense. I might even have to clip this. Everybody believes that Nick Saban, no matter what he does, it's God's gift to earth, that the man walks on college football water. And to some extent, he, at times in his career, he has. He's done amazing things. That does not mean that Nick Saban in the choices and decisions that he makes is not above reproach. It kind of feels to me that he catered to the fan base in the sense of letting Bill O'Brien walk. The last time I checked, scoring 41.5 points offensively, and that is exactly what Alabama did a year ago, 4th in the country in offensive scoring, and you want him to walk for Tommy Rees. You cannot convince me on God's green planet that makes sense. People will say, well, trust Saban. Saban's not Jesus Christ Almighty. You telling me Jesus Christ couldn't hit a curveball? It is an advantage for LSU, and it's an advantage for Brian Kelly. And if you don't see it any differently, then I don't know what to tell you. But Tommy Rees has not gone through more offenses in his short career more than what Brian Kelly has taught him. There will be same formations, same schemes, and I will tell you this, I almost would guarantee that they're going to have to change the names of play calling when they go up against LSU because Brian Kelly's going to know what Tommy Rees is doing. And maybe somewhat vice versa. Daniel Williams does bring up an interesting point. He's excellent at reinventing himself. That's true. Not with Tommy Reed. Guys, I really think that's going to be a horrible hire. I will make a bold prediction. Here's my bold prediction on that. Tommy Reed, let me not say ever. I don't think Tommy Reese will be in a situation where their offense scored more points per game than what Bryce Young and Bill O'Brien's offenses were able to do. Brian Kelly's teams have been more disciplined in the past. All right, I haven't even gotten to the Ruffino's rants. I guess we can end the show on the Ruffino's rants. By the way, since we're on a rant-filled episode, a massively big rant-filled episode. Oh my God. All right. Somebody said that Joe Mixon read his script from college. Jesus. Damn. Chance Babin says, I feel like you already ranted. I did, but that wasn't even supposed to be the rant. The rant was supposed to be that everybody's still freaking out. Like I heard somebody today in our, media corps talking about how LSU can't. The quote was LSU doesn't have the funds to compete financially with NIL. And I got to tell you, man, I'm to the point where I'm just so done. I am so done with that. Guys, you're the number 4 overall class in the country. I don't mean to be rude to anybody that listens to our show. If you listen to our show, listen to me when I tell you this. LSU being the number 4 class in the country under Brian Kelly is a fucking win. Could they be a little bit better in recruiting in some areas? Yes. Yes, they could be. However, you can't get much better than what they're doing. Guys, you got 36 guys on your in this recruiting class. 36. How many guys put in the chat? How many LSU fans do you feel? How many LSU fans do you feel that are in America right now? Guys, I'm going to bring you up. Zach, how many
It's freezing here.
How many LSU fans do you think there are in the United States currently?
In the United States?
Give me a bold prediction.
God, I don't know.
10 million?
10 million? I'd say it's less than that.
Okay, 8 million.
I'd say it's less than that.
All right, well, give me a number.
Maybe 5.
Pooh Bear, how many LSU fans live in the United States? We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Your StreamYard's muted.
6.9 million.
Okay, so quick question. Are you saying that because it's 69, or are you saying that because you looked it up on Google and you know it's 6.9 million?
Yes.
God damn it. God. Damn you. Damn you. Damn you. All right, let's do this. Let's lowball it and say there's 3 million LSU fans. Okay, just for argument's sake. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go 6.9 million because it comes off the tongue a little bit easier. All right, let's just say 3 million. I'm joking. If there's 3 million LSU fans in the United States, and every one of those fans gave the LSU NIL collective $10, you have $30 million of NIL money to play with. Let me repeat what I just said. You think that LSU is behind in NIL, and let's say you have 3 million fans give you $10 apiece. Every single year, you're going to have $30 million to play in NIL money. I promise you this, as God is my witness, if you can't buy the best recruiting class of all time with $30 million a year, then you're doing something wrong. To say that LSU doesn't have the finances to compete in the NIL game is naive. It's stupid. It's not well thought out. It's illogical. It's idiotic. And quite honestly, if you think that they can't do that, you've never run a business before. You've never been in the crunch time when it comes to paying your business's bills, and you got to find a way. Scott Woodward, Brian Kelly, everybody will find a way. You know what else is funny? Speaking of Alabama earlier, it's funny. It's hilarious that they dropped their NIL collective the day after, the immediate day after that LSU did it. And they ran Nick Saban's cream pie eating ass out there to go and do it. You mean to tell me that LSU's behind? LSU's behind where? Let me see something here. Tyler Cooley. Thoughts on the LSU woke president and governor trying to take away Dale Brown Court? First off, we've had more people say the word woke in this show in the last hour than in the 700 episodes of AYS. Tyler, if you want to know my thoughts, you're on YouTube. Rewind the show and go listen to it. But I will tell you this. Don't believe everything that meets the eye. There are more things that people don't understand in all of this. Anyway, all right. We're over an hour. No. But as God is... Come on, Daniel. Come on, Daniel. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, guys. Like, I really don't. I mean, I literally beg people not to talk about politics on the show, and every time I do it, it just continues to come up. All right, let me take this time to talk about our good friends over at Wham Electric. Guys, speaking of peace of mind, Wham Electric has given myself and my wife that peace of mind. Lights go out, generator kicks on. Your licensed electrical contractor. They do everything residential. They can make your generator run. Give them a call today at 985-241-8059. That's 985-241-8059. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. And our good friend John Patton over at GMFS Mortgage. Boy, I'm not going to lie. I feel like a king walking around with my 2.7% interest. Who helped me with that? John Patton over at GMFS Mortgage. If you're buying a new home, saving money on the mortgage that you have now, or even doing that cash out refi, the timing has never been better. Get in touch with him today at 225-614-1234. Let him know that Blake sent you on by. All right. We'll see y'all Saturday. Y'all have a good one. Peace out, Girl Scouts.